Hey guys, welcome to IP Series COVID-19 edition, where we talk about recent intellectual property cases and development globally. Now, like I've always stated, IP protects works that are creative and innovative in nature, and these works enjoy a bundle of intellectual property rights such as copyright, trademark, patent, industrial design, trade secrets, geographical indication, etc. So today I'll be talking about 3D printing in the fashion industry and the role of intellectual property. As tradition, we always have a case study for every episode, and today's story is about the Hanifa 3D virtual fashion show, which took place in May. So I know a lot of people will be saying I should have done this in May, but I like to, make sure that for every IP series there's a theme to it, and I also take my time to do my research so that I don't misinform my listeners or my readers. So the interesting twist to this story is that after that fashion show, the virtual fashion show took place, Forbes now released a publication claiming that Prada, we all know Prada is a luxury brand, Prada was the first to stream the first fully digital 3D virtual fashion show. Now I'm going to give you the deets about this later when I do my brief summary of the case. But with this intro, I welcome you to today's episode. My name is Rita Amurichinda. I hope you learned something from this particular episode. So before I go into our case study, I have news flash. So 2 news flash. So the first one is that Prince Harry and Meghan's trademark application for Archewell was refused on the ground that the list of services covered in the application was too vague in the United States. So I've always stated that IP is territorial in nature, especially IP like trademark, patent, industrial design. They are mostly territorial in nature. What that means is that if you don't register it in a particular jurisdiction or country, you would lose the right to that particular IP. You won't own that IP in that country, especially if for example, for trademark now, especially if it's being registered in the same class that you want to register your work in. Now, the second news flash that I've been following this case for over 5 years. Yeah, because I know I did mention or refer to it in my dissertation while I was doing my master. So Beyonce trademark application to register Blue Ivy Carter. Now we know Beyonce's first child, a girl, her name is Blue Ivy Carter, and after she was born, Beyonce made an application to register the name, but it was opposed. So the recent update to this now is that the opposition at the Trademark Trial Appeal Board in 14 various classes, a story for another day, and I'm also going to do a post about opposition of a trademark application or registration. The application was granted, so she has the right now to register Blue Ivy Carter. I'll also do an IP series, like a mini IP series about that. So let's get right into our case study for today, which is really interesting because I know when this post was made on Instagram, because the live show took place on Instagram before the actual show, she had like trailers to generate people's interest in her fashion show, and I know it became like a viral video even after it streamed on Instagram. So so the scoop is this, that on the 22nd day of May, Hanifa Mvemba, she's the owner of Hanifa clothing line, showcased her Pink Label Congo #Pink Label Congo collection virtually on Instagram using 3D simulation models instead of live models via Instagram Live. And that's like the first time that has ever happened in the fashion industry, and thanks to COVID-19 as well, people have become more innovative, trying to fill in those gaps that they never knew existed, because normally everyone would have expected or waited for for the lockdown to be eased down and the curve should have flattened, and everyone has gone back to their normal routine. But I think now everyone is trying to be as creative as possible, and this was like really, really innovative. Now what really caught my attention, because it was my friend that actually sent me the post, and because of what I do, and I thought I was actually going to do a series about it, but it took me a long time. But yeah, here we are. So the request about this was that Forbes now made a publication claiming that Prada, backed by a company called Big Tinks, instead of things is spelled like things like THINX, was partnering with Fashion Innovation in New York City to stream the first fully digital 3D virtual fashion show. Now, this was okay. Normally, everyone should have applauded it, but it was wrong on so many levels. The internet wasn't having any of that. Comments, kept trooping in. People were calling out Forbes. It became like a white against the black fight, like having someone's trying to take the glory from a black lady who did something really innovative. Instead of giving her credit, you're now trying to sideline her, etc. And then on the 4th of June, Forbes had to retract that publication after so much pressure from the internet. So I think again why a lot of people like to do social media call out is because sometimes it's generates positive results, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it could be for good intention, other times it could be for bad intention. So it all depends on how you see it. But yeah, everyone always has that goals and aims of wanting to trend or troll or whatever. Other than the issue with the Forbes publication, we're going to be talking about 3D printing and how intellectual property is relevant to that. So I'm going to do like a brief intro of what 3D is, and then we'll talk about the fashion industry and then the relevant IPs. So 3D printing is a technology that emerged in the 1980s. Like, this is 2020, it was used mostly for industrial applications. So if you follow like the technological the transition from manual to digital era, you have the first industrial revolution, second industrial revolution, the third industrial revolution, and now we're currently in the fourth industrial revolution, where you have the likes of data mining, machine learning, AI, robotics, etc. So when 3D printing was introduced, or when it started to gain become popular, it was used for mostly industrial application. So what is 3D printing? 3D printing basically is a process known as additive manufacturing, where an object is created by adding or making a three-dimensional solid subject from a digital file by laying down the product in question to create an object. And also, this cannot be manufactured by traditional manufacturing techniques. So if you've seen any 3D product anywhere, you'll see that it's not something that you use the manual manufacturing equipment to recreate. This was because what 3D printing does is that it saves you cost, and then you can end up doing several molds or objects or prototypes within a short period of time. So let's say if you could do 100 pieces of say a particular product with the normal traditional manufacturing technique, is going to take the 3D printing say about 2 or 3 hours to produce triple the amount. So in simple terms, you're creating a physical object from a digital mold using technology and not traditional manufacturing. So the only difference between the 3D printing and the traditional manufacturing is that there's the use of technology. 3D printing can be used to generate several products ranging within a short period of time, and is used by massive factories, students and entrepreneurs. So now the question would be, is 3D printing common in Nigeria? I'll say to an extent, because I do remember seeing like a Twitter post, I think last month, about someone that did it, I think from Unipod, that created something out of 3D. I didn't really pay much attention to that post, but I know I did see that cross my timeline at some point. So what industries need the 3D printing the most? So according to Chariot, in her article titled 5 Industries Utilizing 3D Printing, she listed the following: so aerospace, automotive, manufacturing, robotics and education, health sectors, that's the health industry, the construction industry, dentistry, jewelry, space industry. I think I already mentioned that. Healthcare, marketing, mechanical engineering, toys and games company, and then the fashion industry, which is like our main topic for today, as it is being used in our recent or our case study for today, which is the Hanifa case, who created a 3D virtual fashion show, which is like the first thing that have been done, first ever done. So basically 3D printing is used for prototypes and models, but these have evolved from that to scan it, print it, wear it, revolution, how clothes are made, how this reduces labor cost, waste. This is also in line with this year's WIPO day theme, which was talking about innovate for green. So we're going green this year, or recently we're talking about climate change, innovate for green, eco-friendly products, etc. So in the 1980s, when the 3D printing emerged, it was just for industrial application, but thanks to technology that has evolved. So how does 3D printing take place? So it starts with a digital file, which is then transferred or formatted using either a 3D print software or a 3D scanner. This file in question is then exported to a 3D printer using a dedicated software, transforming the digital model into a physical object through a process in which material is built up layer upon layer until it is the finished product or the product emerges. So now what is the relationship basically with 3D and the fashion industry? So the global fashion industry is estimated to be what, $2.3 trillion in 2019. That was just last year. I'm sure that number would have grown, but COVID happened. While the global fashion e-commerce industry is estimated to be $829.6 billion dollars by the end of 2024. But the sad part about this is that the African fashion industry is not even up to 10%, or doesn't make up to 10% of this estimated money. So let's go into intellectual property. What are the three important intellectual property when you're talking of 3D printing? So you'll be talking about the shape of the new product with an inventive step and industrial application. So that the type of IP that will come to your mind first of all is patent, because patent basically protects inventions that are new, involves an inventive step, and has an industrial application to it. Then you'll be talking about protecting your work with design rights, industrial design rights, which basically protects works that are new and not contrary to morals. Then you have trademark, when you talk about the name of the product, the sign or symbol or design or number, whatever it is that can be used to be associated or linked to that particular person. So for the Hanifa fashion show now, being like the first thing ever, you're going to be talking about her brand name, Hanifa. You're going to be talking about the clothing line, which is the hashtag pink label Congo collection. I didn't want to mess that up, which was why I had to refer back to where I wrote it. So that collection can be trademarked. Then when it has to do with the trade secret, so you're talking about the confidential information that gives your brand an edge over another brand. So let's use the Hanifa and Prada case now. So in Hanifa's case, if someone was trying to get an idea of how she was able to achieve those those 3D simulation models instead of using live models, that's basically going to be her trade secret, because she can't tell you how she was able to come up with that. But the company that will be partnering with, or let's say the company that is partnering with Prada, sends like a mold into Hanifa's company to get the code or the software, whatever she used to be able to achieve that 3D simulation model. So trade secret basically protects your confidential information. Geographical indication basically has to do with the location of where the product was made. So when you see brands that have like made in Swiss or made in China, so you'll be talking of collective marks or certification marks or appellation origin, etc. I already talked about trademark. Where we'll be protecting the name and logo or design. Patent, I already talked about that. Then industrial design, I already talked about that, but the most essential part of it is that it protects the features of the product. It also protects colors that are associated with the product. So if you've seen that Hanifa's live video, where you're seeing the models, the 3D simulation models, doing their catwalk on the runway, kind of felt so real. So you're going to look at the features of those models, how they were able to achieve the walk, etc. Then for copyright rather, you'll be talking about artistic works, sketches, and then the 3D printing software. So if you recall, when I was talking about how the file is how the 3D printing takes, but I did mention where you'll be using a dedicated software transforming the digital model into a physical object. So so I think that basically that the relevant IPs, I've covered the relevant IPs that has to do with 3D printing. So now I think when I was doing my research, I did see a couple of pictures of models wearing 3D clothes that were made from non-expensive materials. 3D printing in the fashion industry is is transformative for designers who want to take a complex design and make it wearable, just like Hanifa's 3D virtual show. So you basically see the cloth and you know what it's going to look like on your body. Also, the coronavirus has, exposed a lot of gaps and emphasized on the need for faster solutions such as 3D printing, where manual traditional manufacturing failed to cure. So in the fashion industry, 3D printing is used for producing non-flexible parts, and just like Hanifa did, she used this tech to turn her idea into a reality by showcasing her clothing line into a virtual fashion show using a 3D simulation model. So yeah, as always, I'm going to close now, wrapping up. So always, IP doesn't protect an idea. You have to transform that idea, bring it to life, just like Hanifa did. I'm sure Hanifa told certain persons, I'm going to try this, I think prior to the COVID-19, and then COVID-19 just gave her that opportunity to actually bring her idea into reality. So always let us see a finished product of whatever idea you have. Register your intellectual property, consult your IP lawyer. I feel like I'm always repeating it because I know this is really important, and I hope one day the IP sector or practice in Nigeria is going to be really huge, because IP affects a lot of industries. So today we're talking IP, 3D printing, and the fashion industry. Tomorrow we're going to talk about another topic, and it just keeps evolving and just shows you how huge IP really is. Always make sure you document. Always make sure you sign a contract. Make sure you have an IP lawyer on your retainer. I'm not saying that because I am an IP lawyer. I'm saying that because that's the right thing you need to. You need to have different lawyers for whatever it is you need to do. But yeah, other than that, I think that covers our topic for today. So what the role of IP basically, you can make money from your IP through commercializing it. Like you could license your work. So Hanifa can decide to license her 3D simulation to Prada tomorrow, and she's going to make loads of money from that. She can also choose to collaborate or partner with Prada. She can choose to sell the software if she wants. But I would advise, any IP owner to sell outrightly. At least make money. You see all those big brands that have been there for years. Like if you look at most of the luxury brands like Chanel, Gucci, Prada, they've been there since the 90s. Even the recent case we talked about, Valentino, has been there since 1960. So you can imagine. When it comes to your work, your creative work or your innovative work, think big, because IP is big and huge. IP has a section with the banking sector. I saw that today and I was mind blown. Although I did see something about that last year when the Ariana Grande case with Misguided, and the bank was the company was saying they were going under, they were folding up. So IP has a bit of tax in it, and there's the wheels parts, several other things. So yeah, in conclusion, always, register your IP, consult your IP lawyer, and keep listening to my podcast. If you've learned something from my podcast, do let me know. If you have questions, send me an email to ipseriesInfo@gmail.com, or you can send it to Pardoo, PARDOO Prime, PRIME legal @gmail.com, or you can send me a message on Twitter at Esmeraldo99, or just search for @Anwiri. Anwiri is spelled ANWIRI. So yeah, that I think that basically covers it. So until the next IP series, thank you for listening. For our new listeners, I hope you learned something today, and I hope you tune in next time to listen to my podcast. Please don't forget to like and share wherever you see my podcast link. Tell your friends about it, and yeah, bye from me to you.